This is Outnumbered. I'm Andrea Tanteros, and here today, she's back from vacation, Harris Faulkner, host of Kennedy on our sister network, Fox Business's Kennedy. Also from FBM, Melissa Francis, co-host of After the Bell, and today's hashtag One Lucky Guy, an international man of mystery, i.e. the most interesting man in the world, former CIA covert ops officer Mike Baker, and co-founder of Diligence, the private intelligence and security firm. And we remind Mike...
And that's all the time we have.
I was going to say, what's your sign? What's your blood type? What else can we put in that intro?
I like long walks in the rain. You know what I would like to say is that I'm always excited to be here. This is my mother's favorite show, and it's the only reason she thinks I've made anything of my life.
Wow.
So it's always great to be here.
She's absolutely right.
She watches it religiously. So.
Well, that's because you were covert, so you can't tell her all the classified stuff you did.
Yeah, that's
Hillary
right.
Clinton might tell her.
She thinks you're an actual baker.
I just told her I was an import-export, you know, all that time.
Well, hello to Mrs. Baker, and we love that you're an overt one lucky guy.
Thank you very much.
Let's get to it.
Great to be here.
No apologies. Hillary Clinton once again refusing to say that she's sorry for using a private email account and server while she was Secretary of State. The Democratic frontrunner insisting in an interview with the Associated Press that she did nothing wrong, saying, quote, "What I did was allowed by the State Department. It was fully above board. Everybody in the government with whom I emailed knew that I was using a personal email, and I've said it would have been a better choice to have had two separate email accounts. And I've also tried not only to take responsibility because it was my decision, but to be as transparent as possible." But this comes as a second intelligence review confirms that top secret emails were in fact on Mrs. Clinton's personal server, including information about North Korea's nuclear weapons. Okay, before we get into that, you're laughing, Mike, but the transparent as possible is such a joke. She deleted over 30,000 emails. We still don't know if the server has been taken by the FBI. She hasn't been transparent at all. No,
nor has the administration. And, of course, the administration started out by saying how transparent they were going to be all those years ago. Two things. One, nobody knows how to apologize anymore. You notice every apology is, "I'm sorry if you took offense at what I did." Nobody ever comes out, and she's certainly not going to. And the other part is, look, I spent a lot of years handling classified and compartmentalized information. And all I can tell you, I'm not an expert on Hillary's handling of her materials, but from everything that's come out so far and has been confirmed during the course of this, if I had done that, I would be in jail for that. I would have been railroaded out, escorted out of the agency.
Perp walked, probably.
Yeah, and I would have been doing time. And so that's all I know. And I look at her, and I look at their treatment of Petraeus, and obviously he got a misdemeanor, right? But it's a double standard that I don't think is actually, at the end of the day, going to hurt her. Meaning I don't think that the general public, at the end of the day, is going to make her pay for that.
Oh, I disagree.
Really? I hope you're right.
I disagree so much because I think that when you watch her in these interviews and you watch her not apologize and do the non-denial denial, I think most Americans at home don't want to drill down into the details. They have busy lives. They have kids to get to school. But when you watch her and you listen to her, you just have the sense she's lying. I think for Americans at home sitting on the couch, when she's talking and she's making excuses and she's hitting the word nothing marked classified, they see through that.
Right, and the number one word association with her, we learned last week, Harris, was the word liar.
All right, so David Muir with World News Tonight on ABC is going to sit down with her. That was announced this morning. And so what will that look like? Is he going to give her a foot
rub like Andrea Mitchell did?
I don't know, but I've often said that he is as bright as he is good looking. So let me get on the record with that.
We go to the same gym, I can vouch.
All right, my point with saying that, though, is so we're seeing her sit down with more news anchors. We saw her with Andrea Mitchell on Friday, so this will be the third in as many days. I know she's doing a late talk show tonight, a kind of a different concept there, more along the lines of Ellen. But, you know, I think the big issue here is she was the person who last time around said she was going to take that 3 a.m. phone call. Why can't she tell the difference between yoga pants and wedding plans in an email and the intel community's highest classification of government-sensitive material in an email? Why can't she tell the difference? My old pastor used to put it this way. She was equivalent maybe in charge of the megachurch. Why give her the entire community of churches if she can't handle one?
Right, and so we've said, Kennedy, at best, I mean, she's very incompetent and didn't understand the rules of classified and non-classified, which I don't think anyone believes that she is that incompetent, especially because she went out of her way to set up this server and pay that employee, we learned, from the State Department's coffers, even though she lied and said it was the Clinton Foundation. She just keeps getting mired in these lies.
No, I think she's unethical. I think she's immoral. I think what she has done is dangerous. I think, there are a lot of, and Mike, you can speak to this, a lot of national security secrets and interests that could have been totally compromised, and the FBI is never going to get to the depth of that until, we know how far they delve into that server. And I have confidence that they will get access to that. But I actually do think that given her immorality and her lack of ethics, she's actually incompetent on top of that. And, when people realize that there is that great coupling, then they will consciously uncouple from her. And that's why you see that her political career is in a little bit of free fall right now.
Yeah, because incompetence and willful deceit, they're not mutually exclusive in this case.
Yeah, no, she's too smart not to have known what she was doing. And again, mishandling classified information in the way that she has, whether it was because she was incompetent or because she was arrogant and felt the rules didn't apply to her, for anyone else would result in charges and jail time. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah. I want to ask you during overtime about what the CIA thinks about this because of what happened to Petraeus. Because any treatment different than what Petraeus got will be special treatment for her. All right, meantime, after what some have called a summer of missteps for Hillary, we may soon see another side of her. The New York Times reports that her campaign wants her to show her humor and her heart going forward. Oh, she has one. And it looks like she's upping her TV time with an appearance on Ellen's show, airing on the 10th, and a visit to Jimmy Fallon on The Tonight Show, September 16th. Meantime, many of her surrogates are ramping up attacks against Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. Politico is reporting that Hillary's team is paying travel costs for proxies who use their appearances in early voting states to criticize him. That includes Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro, who knocked Sanders for a lack of outreach to Latinos. Other Sanders critics include New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and Connecticut Governor Daniel Malloy. This is a new poll shows Sanders is leading Clinton by 9 points in the critical state of New Hampshire. He's also gaining ground on her in Iowa, but still trailing by 11%. Kennedy, nothing says spontaneous. Like a pre-scripted, planted story in the New York Times about how she's going to be more spontaneous, and she's announcing a week in advance that she's going to be spontaneous on these late shows.
She's going to be so fun. She's going to be full of humor. She is going to be Eddie Murphy and Beverly Hills Cop. It's going to be fantastic. It really was, and his performance. I mean, just stunning. But she could raise her game to that level, and still, I think her chances are doomed because of everything that's coming out of the server. Many more emails to come, many more classifications, and you're talking about General Petraeus, both of you were, and I think just from what I've heard that what she has done with her server is much worse than what General Petraeus has ever done.
Is that General Petraeus on the line right
now? That's exactly what it is.
What is he doing? Give him our best.
I mean, but you do know you're in political trouble when you have to schedule spontaneity.
Yes.
I mean, you do know that that's a problem for you. But the other thing in all of this is these are where her opponents are running, and they're not talking about the email scandal.
They don't have to.
What happens if they decide to? What happens if, I don't know, Bernie Sanders gets up one day and decides to go Bernie on her and says, what, da-da-da-da-da. You're right. It hasn't been necessary up until now.
But don't you think there's sort of an unwritten agreement?
No, I don't. It certainly doesn't exist in the Republican Party, where all ideas are on the table and you can debate the ideas together. You can go after each other on that. Is that what's missing?
What you're saying right now,
I think Democrats have a tighter playbook.
They do have a tighter playbook. They don't shoot inside the tent
Does it help for them this go around?
Listen, I think it has helped them on a lot of issues. I mean, they didn't fire at each other on Obamacare. They seem to rally the troops. Pelosi corrals her members.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you, I mean, the funniest part of all of this is the story that she planted about being spontaneous.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's a paranoid, to me, she's a paranoid, deceptive, calculating woman. And when she tries to be something other than who she really is, she just looks like a phony.
Right. And what you do is, you know what it's like in big business. They'll oftentimes bring in a communications specialist or firm, and they'll sit down with the CEO or others, that have a client-facing role, and they'll say, here's what you need to do, to win the day. And you need to express yourself in a more friendly fashion, and you need to be more spontaneous. And that's it. It sounds to me like she's had a meeting with a communications firm, and they drew up some points, and this is what they came up with. And then some idiot within their campaign decided that they were going to put this story out because that was also a good idea.
Wouldn't spontaneous Melissa be like going on The Soup with Joel McHale for a cameo, or like just showing up on The Tonight Show? Why announce it?
I mean, I love planned spontaneity. It's like sleepy alertness, also great, or you're skinny fat. I mean, all kinds of things
I've
that
actually
can't
been
pop
that.
skinny fat jeans.
Yeah.
Do you have those? They don't work, by the way. They just look horrible. And I think that's how this is going to turn out as well. I mean, I go back to my original point. When the American people listen to her, they feel like she's not being genuine. She's also not warm. She has trouble connecting with people. They're trying to solve these problems and bring her out in a way that's warm, that's real. I actually don't think she's physically capable of it.
Can I-
And her
did.
biggest missteps are when she tries to be funny.
Yeah.
You know, like with the cloth, when Ed Henry asked her about wiping the server, there's so many times she falls flat when she's trying to make jokes, and it's even worse when she has to explain to an audience or to the press.
What
I
she
like
meant.
the Snapchat joke. You didn't like that joke? I thought that was such a knee slapper.
Jeffrey Ross wrote that.
Can I just ask, because I know there's a lot of viewers right now that are confused, particularly of my gender, what are skinny fat jeans?
Right, they don't exist. That's the point.
Oh,
That's
okay,
the
I
point.
get
You
it.
can't
All
get
right.
them. They're skinny jeans. Your fat jeans. You put them together. I mean, I don't know. They're
Harris,
sweatpants.
those
Tummy tuck jeans can work, though, I've read. But, you know, with her normal response has been, if they like me, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, either they like me or they don't. I've heard her say, and her likability continues to be an issue for her. So she's not going to be able to fall back on
She's faked a
that.
Southern accent. I mean, over the years, remember when she picked that?
I've got the vapors over here.
I mean, we've seen that story back and forth. All right, we're going to ask you about the CIA and Petraeus during overtime.
Excellent.
People are already on the live chat, by the way.
But it is a sign, to your point, Harris, that she's sending these surrogates to attack Sanders. I mean, she's right.
Send them back, Bernie.
All right, Congress getting back to business today, and one of the very big items on that agenda, the Iran nuclear deal. A vote could happen as early as this week, so what to expect? And she's behind bars for refusing to issue same-sex marriage licenses. Now, the case of Kentucky clerk is entering the political arena. The GOP presidential candidates who are visiting Kim Davis in prison and how it could impact the 2016 race. And right after the show, catch more from the couch on the web. Harris's favorite time. She's back and she's logging on right now. So you can start sending your questions for any of us on the couch. Log on to foxnews.com/outnumbered. Click that OT tab. Tweet us any questions I just mentioned, pictures, etc. Keep them clean. Mike Baker's here, everyone.
Yeah.